Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Sorry for being a minute or two late. I was attempting to stream and it told me that my credentials were no longer good. It turns out they are. Maybe XSplit was having a problem. Who knows? Who knows? What's going on right here? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today is Wednesday. I actually have to do a short show today because I am going to Borgata in about an hour. So we have a whopping 1 hour for me to do this, get packed, etc., etc. So we're only going to do about a 30-minute show today. I'm pretty fast at packing my clothes, especially for a 2-day trip. But, you know, oh, is today Friday? Did I say it was Wednesday? Gosh, I'm the worst. I don't know what day it is. It feels like Wednesday. I have a lot to do. But instead, I'm going to go play poker. Before we get started, we're doing a giveaway. We're giving away $500 because, you know, I don't know what day it is and I don't need $500 apparently. So you can get in that at pokercoaching.com/giveaway. Also, a year of poker coaching premium goes to the winner of that, which is worth about $1,188. So the winner of that giveaway will get $500 cash and a year of poker coaching premium. So get in that at pokercoaching.com/giveaway. It's completely free. You might as well try. We've given away a bunch of money over the last year. I forget what it was. It's like over $10,000 and just, you know, giveaways last year for fun because I appreciate all of you. I always see those people scamming people on Twitter and whatnot, like, oh, retweet this and I'll give away $10,000 to someone. It's like, come on. We know that's not actually happening. Believe it or not, I actually am giving away the money, though. We're thinking about giving away a World Series main event seat. I don't know if people want a World Series main event seat, though. So if you all let me know if you want me to do a giveaway. Like, would you actually enter the giveaway if I gave away a World Series main event seat? I realize $500 isn't enough for most people. Well, some people. But, you know, $10,000 main event seat may get people to sign up and join the giveaway. So anyway, what else is going on? Global Poker Index is having their Global Poker Awards. Voting is finished for Video Blogger of the Year. I appreciate all of you if you threw me a vote. Also, they have the Poker Personality of the Year. I don't know if I'm going to be in the top 4 or not. I should know today or tomorrow or whenever they announce it. If I am, I would appreciate your vote for that. So, check Twitter. I'll pin it to my Twitter at Jonathan Little, and if I get there, please vote for me. We're not going to have a little coffee on Monday or Wednesday next week. My wife is between jobs. She is now the Senior Vice President of Tax for GE Capital, whatever that means. And she has a week off. So we're going to go to a little ski resort and take the kids. They also have, it's a ski resort plus an indoor water park. 90 minutes from New York City. I didn't even know such a thing existed. So that'll be a nice few days. And so that means no little coffee on Monday and Wednesday because I will be tasked with watching the kids. So anyway, that's that. Let's get started with the topic today. Seat selection in tournaments and in cash games. Let's get this out of the way right at the beginning. A lot of people think you don't get to select your seat in tournaments, but you do. For example, you get to pick when you buy in on time, right? Or you get to pick when you buy in. If you buy in early or when the satellite players are buying in, you're more likely to have a good seat because most satellite players, not all, but most satellite players are not great tournament players, right? Whereas if you buy in late to the tournament, a lot of people who are buying in late, they can't even be bothered to show up on time. A lot of these players are better players. So you really would much prefer to be buying in early, or when the satellite ends, the main satellite, or late. So you do get to select your seat in tournaments in that manner. Also, if you're at a bad table in a tournament, tables break in tournaments, right? So if you know your table's going to break at some point, and your table's bad, be patient. Or if your seat's bad, be patient, and then you'll get a new table. Am I going to Borgata this weekend? I'm going to Borgata in about 50 minutes. I will be there today and tomorrow, and that's it. Because like I said, we're going on a little ski trip after that. My wife gets no time off. She has a week off, so we're going for a few days. All right, so very important concept you must understand. Chips flow to the left in poker. Okay? Chips flow to the left. So since chips flow to the left, you across the board want big stacks on your right and short stacks on your left. Because if the short stack's on your left, you're going to be losing small pots to that player. Like, you are going to lose money to the person on your left. You just are. They can be bad. You're still just going to lose money. So you're going to lose money to them, and that's fine. But you're going to win money from the people on your right. No matter if they're good or bad, you just are. So you want big stacks on your right because you will, on average, win bigger pots than the pots you're losing. So imagine you have a 10 big blind stack on your left, but a 200 big blind stack on your right. You're just going to win. I mean, you're going to have a tough time. I mean, obviously, there's swings, but you're going to be a big favorite to profit in that scenario. So, big stacks on the right, short stacks on the left when you show up to the table, and you have the option 2 seats. That's something you should definitely be looking at. If you get to select your seat in cash games, obviously. Next, you typically want the tight players on your left. Why do you want the tight players on your left? Well, if you have tight players on your left, and you raise, they're going to play very straightforwardly, right? So, if they're going to play straightforwardly, it's essentially as if when you raise, they don't exist behind you. Now, obviously, they're going to play the best 10 or 15% of hands, but they're not going to be 3-bet bluffing you a ton. They're not going to be calling with speculative hands trying to outflop you. Instead, they are just going to fold a lot. So, when you're on the button, they're going to be in the blinds, and then you just get to win way more than your fair share of the pots. Also, if you're on the cutoff and there's a tight player on the button, when you raise, it's as if you are on the button because the tight player on the button's not going to do anything. So you essentially get 2 buttons. It's not actually 2 buttons. It's more like 1.7 buttons. But whatever. Imagine you get the button 1.7 times per orbit and everybody else gets it 1. You're going to crush it. Where's Borgata? Borgata is in Atlantic City. That is in New Jersey. That is about 2.5 hours from where I live. Okay, so you want tight players on your left. That allows you to play more hands profitably. Now, if you raise from the cutoff and the tight player 3-bets you, get out of the way. I did just release a video blog of my Party Poker Nottingham trip, so check that out if you have not seen it already. It just came out, I don't know, yesterday, today, something like that. You can find that at youtube.com/pokercoaching. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. I have a new editor, actually. I am going to try to do more video blogs. I know you all enjoy those, and I will try to give more poker hands in them. I mean, it's tough because I don't really know what people are looking for in video blogs. I'm actually going to ask all of you that on Twitter in just a day or two. Like, what do you want in video blogs? What makes them good for you? Because I honestly don't watch a ton of video blogs, but I realize a lot of you like it, and I'm happy to share with you, and I want to make sure I'm sharing the things that you enjoy. What did I think of the players here in the UK? They played fine. I'll be back next year, though, so take that for what it's worth. If the stacks get deeper on your left and shorter on your right, do you actually slow down and wait for your table to break, or just play better hands? I mean, look, Polly, I typically have... Well, so first things first. Very rarely is it going to be like a 10 big blind stack and a 200 big blind stack, and you have 200 big blinds. Like, that's pretty bad. You don't want to be in that spot. Usually it's going to be more like one person has 30 and one person has 60, and it's just not that big of a deal. So, you don't need to worry about that so incredibly much. It's not like you want to play slowly and be a super nit. You still need to get in there and you need to play hands. And, like, I am always playing pretty fast unless there's some weird bubble scenario. But you're usually not going to be at some gigantic disadvantage. Ben says, "Hi, I'm the kid who I folded pocket kings to correctly in Jacksonville." Yeah, that was lucky. Awesome video blog. I wasn't so worried about you having a good hand. Well, actually, I kind of was, because I'll set up the sand for everyone. Ben raised under the gun, I think, maybe second position. And then a guy who was, like, not a good player, but pretty tight. He was kind of like loose-ish pre-flop, but not aggressive. He 3-bet. So it goes, whatever, 2.5 big blinds, 7 or 8 big blinds. Gets around to me, I get pocket kings in the small blind. And we're playing pretty deep, like 60, 70, 80 big blinds, something like that. So I just called. Usually you're just 4-betting, but I was actually concerned that Ben, under the gun, Ben seems like a good, reasonable kid. He's not absurd, right? Probably has a decent range. And then tight player 3-bets. Also in early position. But I don't want to fold the kings, clearly. So I call. Get back around to Ben. Ben 4-bets. Tight guy 5-bets. And now, like, we're just done here, right? So because at this point, I know Ben is paying attention. He knows the other guy probably has a good hand, and Ben's still 4-betting. So if Ben's still 4-betting, and he knows the other guy has a good hand, and I clearly have something, probably not aces, but I have something. I guess I have kings, that is something. Ben needs a very strong hand. And then the guy who 5-bet, like, just has to have the nuts. So I thought I was against, like, some combination of aces and kings, maybe ace-king suited. Notice I block ace-king, right, which makes the aces more likely. Ben had aces. Other guy had jacks somehow. He has a World Series bracelet, by the way. I have none, so maybe he's better. Who knows? Anyway, didn't matter. I still lost the tournament. Did I watch the Aussie Millions? I did not. I don't know what chop they did. Okay, back to seat selection. You want nits on your left because it's as if you get more buttons. Next, you want the lags, the loose aggressive players, the maniacs on your right. You want them on your right because they're going to be opening more than their fair share of the time, which allows you to play a wider range than normal from in position. You especially don't want the maniacs on your left because if you raise, now the maniacs are going to be 3-betting you a lot or calling a lot and applying a lot of post-flop aggression. And that's going to result in you not being able to realize your equity very well. You don't realize equity well when you're consistently getting raised and re-raised because you have to fold a lot, right? So you don't necessarily want that. So you want tight players on your left, loose players on your right, okay? Very importantly, you want the bad players on your right. When I say bad, I mean like the loose, splashy players who are playing a lot of pots. Those are the people you really want on your right because you're going to have position on them the majority of the time, and you just get to play more than your fair share of pots, right? So if instead the bad player's on your left, you have to enter the pot before they enter the pot, which means they get to decide if they want to play or not, right? So if you're in there raising, they're just going to fold all their garbage. But if it folds to them, now they're going to play all sorts of garbage, and then you get to play with them. So you really, perhaps the most important thing you want to focus on is the bad player, the loose, splashy player. You want that player on your right, if at all possible. Okay? It's very, very important. You typically want loose, aggressive players on your right as well for the same reason. Bad players are very important. I have a star next to it on my notes, which means it's very important. There's a star there. You see it? Bad players on the right. Next, great players. What if you're at a table and you happen to be against a really, really good player? Where do you want them? Well, if you want the bad player on your right, it means the good player can't be there. So if you had to put the good player somewhere else, where do you want them? You want them more across the table from you. That way, you and the other good player can chop up the table, ideally. Or if you can't have them across the table, you kind of want them on the right-hand side of you. You don't want them directly on your left or on the left of that person. I realize you don't get to develop your perfectly nice, clean table, but these are things you need to look out for. And when you are playing live cash games especially, you get to change seats as you see fit. Now, I'm not saying you need to be actively jockeying for seats, but I'll tell you a nice little live pro trick. When you sit down, find a TV on the wall. Most casinos have TVs on the wall. And look around as if you're trying to find your game on the TV, okay? Whatever game you're trying to watch on TV, a sporting event you're trying to watch on TV, it's going to be the one on the other side. It's not the ideal one. So, sit down, look kind of annoyed. Not obviously annoyed, but look kind of annoyed. Ask for a seat change button. If anybody asks why, because, maybe I want to see that TV. And they'll say, oh, we can put the TV on over there. Like, no, don't worry, I'll just change seats in a little bit. And that'll be that. You'll have the seat change button, or you'll have at least some sort of priority to change seats if you feel inclined later. Options are power. You want to have all the options available to you to take whatever seat you want when it comes available. And you don't want to look like a jerk doing it. You don't want to say, I think this guy here is a fish, and I want to have position on him. You don't want to do that, because that kind of thing will often either scare the fish off or make them get smarter and learn to play better, right? So you do really actively get to pick your seat in cash games, and you can do it in a way that does not at least appear predatory. Sounds bad saying predatory, I think, but I mean, it kind of is, right? You want the best seat in the table, because very often the best seat at the table is worth a lot of money, and the worst seat at the table is worth not a lot of money. And if you could have a table where like one seat wins 2 big blinds per hour if you're good, and the other seat wins 20, clearly you want the one that's 20, right? You 10x your win rate. So that's important. And I think if you look at a lot of the best players in the world in cash games, they are really good at getting the right seat without making it look like it's not clear who they are actively targeting. It's probably clear to the other good players, but it's not clear to the target who they are targeting. All right, let's see. See you all typing a bunch of stuff here. You folded kings. I'm going to tell everyone across the board, you don't want to fold kings all that often. You do not want to fold kings all that often. You need an especially rare circumstance like good player raises, tight player 3-bets, I call. Good player 4-bets, tight player 5-bets. All right, we're out. You made about $10,000 to online poker and you're 17. How can you keep going from here? Keep doing what you're doing. When do you think you should choose poker as your full-time job? All right. This is a giant question, well beyond scope today because I only have 12 minutes left. But essentially, you should probably get a college degree. I would tell you to, so look, whatever job you're going to get when you are 18 years old is not going to be that great of a job, probably, unless you have connections. I had no connections. The job I could get was like a $10 an hour job. So can I make more than $10 an hour from playing poker? Obviously, yes. Gives you way more flexibility, etc. If you need to figure out your hourly rate, you need to figure out how much you can consistently win. Like if you won $10,000 because you won one tournament and then bricked 100 other tournaments, but you just got lucky in one, I wouldn't count on that. But if you won it by playing like cash games or something, slowly grinding it up, like the most you ever bought in for is $200 or something like that, then you're probably very good. And you have a very clear future in the game if you feel inclined. But if you got it by getting lucky, not necessarily, right? So figure out what your actual hourly rate is. If you're making $10,000 over the course of, 100 hours, it's $100 an hour, right? It's good money. If it's over 10,000 hours, it's $1 an hour. So it really is just purely a math problem, right? Is it financially responsible for you to play poker as opposed to not play poker? So you need to figure that out for yourself, do the math, and go from there. If you feel like typing in more information, I am happy to help. You love that I'm working with Party Poker. You're a big Jamie Staples supporter. Well, yeah, I love Party Poker. They do great work. Is Matthias Eibinger one of the best poker players at the moment? I don't know. I haven't really played a lot with him. I always got the vibe he was just like good, tight GTO-ish player, but I'm sure he's very good. I mean, look, anyone who's playing high roller tournaments is a very good player. Do you gamble more in early in the re-entry tournaments? Not really. I'm not trying to give my money away. All right. So, most important considerations when picking your seat. I want to make it really clear. There's only really two that are super important. You want the bad players on your right, the worst player at the table, you want them on your right, and you want the big stacks on your right. Usually, though, the bad player overrides everything else, but you do want the big stacks on your right when at all possible. You also really don't want a good, loose, aggressive player on your left. That's especially bad. Like if I was at a table and I had the option of a seat that just looked normal, or a seat with the worst player at the table on the right and two really good people on my left, I'd probably take the other seat. Because first off, the other seat's going to have a better position on the good players, right? So you sidestep that. And you're still going to get to play some pots against the bad player. So if your seat is particularly bad pertaining to the players on your left, you may want to avoid it, especially if the bad player is not actually all that bad. Because very often you'll be playing at a table, trying to think like Bellagio 10-20 games that I used to play all the time. There would be no obviously terrible player, but there'd be like 6 players who are clearly losing a little bit. So 6 clearly losing a little bit, and then like 3 other really good players, like world-class players. So say there is one bad player at that table, like one particularly bad player, but 3 good players to their left, I would just not take that seat in the middle, even if I got position on the bad player. But if there's one good player on the left, I'm still probably taking it. Also depends on how deep you're playing, right? As you're playing deeper and deeper, you want the good players on your left less and less because it's a big advantage to be in position when deep stacked. So yeah, there you go. Does anyone use Facebook here? You want to make connections and talk poker? Well, we have a Discord chat. Discord is a great place to make connections and talk about poker. We have a sweat thread. We have cash game discussions, tournament discussions. You can find links for that at pokercoaching.com in the tool section. So check that out. You can go there and get a completely free limited membership. And if you learn from that, you can sign up, continue learning. Okay, let's talk about a spot where you have the maniac at your table, and the maniac is on your direct left. Is that bad? It's actually not quite as bad as it may appear, because if the maniac is on your direct left, you can do a whole lot of playing pots, but then making sure, because like if you raise and you get 3-bet by a maniac whose range is too wide, then that's okay, right? If you just start with decent hands, maybe even slightly looser than normal, and get 3-bet a lot, it's not the end of the world. Because then your strategy should be to call a lot and then check call down a lot. Remember, you want to induce the maniacs to bluff, and a great way to do that is to do a whole lot of checking and a whole lot of calling. And that's going to result in them running big bluffs and bluffing off their stack, which is fantastic for you, right? Because if they are bluffing off their stack and you're playing reasonable hands, then you're good. What a lot of people do wrong, though, is they play really tight. They'll raise, maniac will 3-bet, then they'll re-raise, and the maniac will fold. And then you end up not winning any money, right? So you make money off the maniacs by trapping them, and it is A-okay to play out of position if you know with a high degree of certainty that they are going to go nuts and try to run big bluffs and bluff you out of the pot. So, like, you want the maniac on your right, that's clearly better, but it's also not as bad to have them on your left, right? So, what if you're at a table and the table's just not very good? What if the whole table's bad? Or maybe you just have a really bad seat at the table. What do you do? Well, you have two options. You can either quit or you can keep playing. And this is where you have to ask, why am I playing poker, right? And I personally, at this stage in my life, and am not playing poker to try to get experience, because I already have infinite experience. I am playing poker to try to make money, right? So if I'm trying to make money, and my game is not currently all that profitable, then what are we going to do? Well, we're not just going to sit here and break even. I'm going to get up and go read a book, or come do a little coffee for all of you, right? However, if you are playing because you want experience, which I do think most people are, it's probably okay to sit there in that relatively bad scenario. And you're not going to make money, or even if you lose a little bit of money, then it's probably okay if you are actively paying attention and improving your skills. Now, something a lot of people do very wrong when they're playing poker is they just don't pay attention. They are goofing off, watching TV, reading a magazine, whatever. And that inevitably results in them not learning. Especially if you find yourself at a table with a world-class player. Even if the world-class player is autopiloting, pay attention, right? I mean, like whenever I'm playing $25,000 buy-in tournaments, which, are big for me, but not big for some people who are playing $1 million buy-in tournaments, they'll be sitting there and they'll be playing on their phone and goofing off, and, we're all guilty of that. But it's very important to realize that you can learn from them. And like today, I'm going to Atlantic City and I'm going to play a $1,000 buy-in six-handed tournament. And if something comes up pertaining to my business, I'm going to have to deal with it. I actually have a call with my some of my employees today at 2 o'clock, which is the perfectly wrong time, but it is what it is. And that's going to take away some attention. But if you're not very good at poker, you can still pay attention and learn from what I'm doing, right? Jamie Staples in the chat in Instagram. Welcome. Good morning. The early bird gets the worm, huh? Here we are. I'm making a Borgata video blog. Yes, so the other day, my wife won a charity poker tournament. Will the Thrill, who is a lunatic, he has a charity tournament every year in New York City for the Ronald McDonald House. I went there with my wife, and Amy crushed him. I made a video blog out of it. It's not done yet, so I will staple that together with... Jamie Staples in the house. I will staple that together with whatever happens in Atlantic City, and we'll see how it goes. Atlantic City's more going to be like a hang out with friends fest, as opposed to go and grind poker hard. But that's okay. I don't mind. It's good to get out and enjoy yourself. So my plan in Atlantic City is to play a $1,000 tournament today, and a $1,500 tournament tomorrow, and then come home. And inevitably, there will be hanging out with friends. It's good to hang out with friends. If any of you have any more questions about how to deal with various seat positions, let me know. But it really is important to make sure you get the right seat. Oh, going back to the table, you can either quit or you can keep playing. There's also one other option a lot of people forget that may or may not occur at your game, but you can change tables, right? So, again, going back to what you should always do, whenever you get seated in your game, if there are additional tables in the casino or in at that same stake, ask the floor person to put you on the table change list. Again, you don't have to take the table change if you don't want to. But if your table is particularly bad, for whatever reason, then move to the other one. And very often, like let's say there are two tables and one table's having a party, and the other table is a bunch of super nits wearing headphones and hoodies, well, if you get seated naturally at the table that's the headphone and hoodie table, you'd probably want to move, right? So get on the list and move ASAP. I'm always shocked by the number of otherwise reasonable players who just go there and take whatever seat they play and they don't move. It's a big mistake, and it costs them loads of equity long run. Funny enough, so it was my wife Amy heads up against Will the Thrill's son, and Will the Thrill was the commentator, and Amy was observing Will the Thrill MC, and she's like, why is he rooting against me so hard? Why is he saying how many outs he has but not me? And she's like, oh, that's his kid. She figured it out halfway through the final table. But I did not help her at the final table. I made her do it on her own, and she crushed, so good job. Ultimate Grinder says, what about when you register for a tournament, you have to choose between 3 seating cards face down? I'm sure you can figure out live pro tricks there if you are creative. Table change is more lucrative than seat selection. It depends. It totally depends, right? Again, this is a tough thing about discussing very loose topics like this, especially without a PowerPoint in front of me. But if there are 2 tables, let's say, and one table is mostly decent pros, but one really bad player, and the other table is all just kind of bad players, you may win more. Well, you will win more money. I'll just go ahead and say it. You'll win more money if you are to the direct left of the very bad player at the otherwise tough table than the kind of soft table where everyone's going to lose just a little bit to you. And that kind of thing's important, right? So I think you'll find that a lot of the best players are very good at assessing potential win rates or estimating roughly what you will win in various scenarios. And I'm pretty good at this, right? I mean, like I said, sometimes you're going to win nothing, sometimes you're going to win 20 big blinds per hour, maybe more if the guy's really bad. Same thing in tournaments, right? Whenever I go to play a tournament, if I do not think I'm going to have a good return on investment, I'm not going to play. Oh, also, seat selection in tournaments. Don't know why I didn't mention this earlier. When you do go to a tournament, let's say it has 100 people in it, you just busted, you're deciding whether or not you want to buy in again, look at the available seats at the table, okay? If there are, let's say, 5 open seats, and 4 out of them are particularly good, because you know the local players in your own games, right? 5 of them are 4 seats out of the 5 are particularly great, you probably want to buy in again. But what if they're all bad? What if they all have 3 good pros to the left of every single seat? Well, don't buy in, right? This happened to me just the other day in Nottingham, where there was a $25,000 tournament, and there were 2 bad players in the field, who you really want to play with, but the seats that were open at the table were the worst seat at the table, with the top 5 players in the world on your left on both tables. So I would have loved to play the event, but I really didn't want that seat. And that's a good example of me in a spot where, there's even marketing value of me playing a 25K, and if I win the thing, right, that's valuable. But I'm not just going to sit there and light money on fire by playing out of position against the best players in the world with the only bad player all the way across the table, right? So I did not expect to be able to win that much money at all in that specific scenario. So didn't play the tournament. Went home and played online, right? And it's important to try to assess where the money's coming from and if you will actually be able to collect it. And if the answer is no, then clearly that's not going to work out for you. My favorite example of this, there was a tournament at the LAPC a long time ago. They used to have a $5,000 tournament the day before the $10,000 tournament. And one year I showed up, I was slightly late, I looked around, and it was 60 good pros in the field and 3 bad players. So think about this, right? Say you just assume you're break even against all the pros, which is not really how it works, but say that's the case. And let's say the bad players are minus 50% ROI, they're pretty bad. That means you have 50% times 3 that is dead in this field, divided by 57 or 60 pros, right? So you have 150% ROI. Let's get out the calculator. You have 150% ROI to go around between 60 pros. Okay? So 150 divided by the 60 pros means each pro on average is going to win 2.5% return on investment. Minus the rake of whatever it is, 6%, 8%, 10%. That means everyone in that field is probably going to lose money. So, do I want to play that? The answer is no. I flew there to play that tournament because, 5K tournament in LA. I thought it'd be great, but it wasn't. So, I just didn't even play. And, maybe I would have won, maybe I would have lost, who knows? It doesn't matter, right? Because in that scenario, I expect to be roughly break even in a tournament that's going to take all day on average. Do I really want to sit there all day to win almost no money? And the answer is no. So I was at Commerce in Los Angeles, and I walked downstairs, and turns out they had an amazing 25-50 no limit game running. So I hopped in there and won like 26K or something in the softest game I've ever played at. And so why are some of the people playing this tournament when they could go play super soft cash games? I don't know. They're just giving away the equity. It doesn't make sense. It literally makes no sense. I think it's because they're not necessarily so good at assessing skill levels and then making monetary decisions based on it. If you know some leaks about certain players, it's normally better to have them on your right. Correct, because you can exploit them, unless they're overly tight. If they're overly tight, you want them on your left because you exploit them by raising more than your fair share. How do you approach if you find players moving around the table based on where you are sitting? I don't care. Look, I mean, obviously you want the good seats. This is why, like I said, I don't know if you're here, I said that whenever you sit down at the table, always get the seat change button, often citing something non-poker related, like, say you sit in the 7th seat on the end of the table, say, oh man, I can't see so well. Can I get the seat change button so that I can sit in the middle if that seat comes open? Then if the seat comes open, like, oh no, I can actually see okay today. Whatever, right? Same thing with the look at the TV and try to find the sporting event. Oh, I actually wanted to watch this one behind me, so I guess I need to be able to change my seat if it comes to that. Right? You want to do stuff like that, and then in a very subtle way. Don't super Hollywood, like subtly. And then change if you feel inclined. How much did Amy win? She won $1,200 in the charity tournament. You don't play charity tournaments to win money. You play charity tournaments for charity. They probably raise, I don't know, mid 5 figures, 50K, 60K, 100K, I don't know. Something like that. Is there a schedule for these coffee sessions? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. If I'm not here, which I'm not going to be here next Monday and Wednesday because I'm out of town, we will rerun an old episode on YouTube. So you can go to youtube.com/pokercoaching, 9 a.m. It'll be up and running. What's the adjustment to take where no one respects your position or raise sizes? They'll play any 2 cards. Well, just play better cards than them. That's easy, right? If they're going to play garbage, you just play better hands than they do. And then you'll win money. That's what Amy did at the charity tournament, right? She was playing a charity tournament, and the people did not respect her raises, and they would play any 2 cards, and she would just play the top 15% of hands. And it turns out if you just play better cards than your opponents, you will win on average. Not always, but on average. You go to the casino and the weaker players are just stopping in and having fun. Any tips? Same story. Play better cards than them. If your opponents are legitimately terrible and they're playing bad cards and they don't care about winning money and they're just goofing off, just play better hands than them. I have 2 books. Where are they? 2 very small books. It doesn't actually take that much information to beat bad players. Strategies for beating small stakes poker tournaments, strategies for beating small stakes poker cash games. You can find them on Amazon. If you're on my email list, you may be able to get ebooks for free. Send us an email. We'll send you an ebook for free. support@pokercoaching.com. These will give you the tips to beat the common types of bad players you will inevitably encounter at the poker table. All right, well, I'm going to go now. I have to get in a car and go to Atlantic City. So, have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Have a fun weekend. Be nice to someone. And help better the world. Because at the end of the day, that's all we can really do. Good luck in your games. Have fun. Thank you for being here. And I will talk to you next time. Oh, get in my giveaway. pokercoaching.com/giveaway. We're giving away $500 cash for you to play a cash game or whatever you want. And a year of poker coaching premium. So pokercoaching.com/giveaway. Have fun. And I will talk to you again on, whenever I see you.